Hey guys, and welcome to another video from the Parrott Bros. Now laid out on the bench is just a selection of parts. We're going to play a game. I'm going to point at something and you're going to guess what it is. No, I'm only joking. I have been asked a lot of questions about sourcing parts, part numbers for certain things, and availability. Now, these cars are up to 25 years old. They stopped making them in 2006. And as a rule of thumb is the manufacturer will produce parts for about 10 years before they make them discontinued or no longer available. Now we're at the point where we are looking at nearly 20 years since they made it, and quite a few parts are no longer made. Now this video is just to raise awareness. Maybe you own a TT or a similar car of a similar year, and there's some parts that you've come to buy that you can no longer buy. Now I'm going to give you an idea of where you can find them, certain parts that you'll be able to buy second hand that may still be in good condition that you can keep for a rainy day. I have a selection of parts. I've been quite lucky. I've sort of acquired things as I've gone along. And there's certain things that I am comfortable knowing that I have on the shelf. Should I never need it, fabulous. But if I have it, I've got it. And some of these parts can actually be very, very expensive. And if you can get them new or in a good condition, it's definitely worth doing. Now, what kicked this off was someone asked me about a brake pipe. I won't go over all of these parts. This was just to give you an idea of some of the things. Now this is the vacuum pipe. This is a bit of a two-parter, this one. So this is the pipe work that is underneath most inlet manifolds on a 1.8 turbo. This goes into the inlet manifold at the side, and then this pipe has a U shape, and this takes it to the brake booster. Now often this has failed in two places, and these are no longer available. You cannot buy these new, and to my knowledge, I say new, you can't buy them from Audi Genuine or from TPS or whatever. To my knowledge, I don't know of anyone who manufactures these aftermarket either. There may well be, so don't quote me on that. And I will give you a website a bit later on in the video as to where you can find the part numbers, because some of these is very hard to read. They've been rubbed off. They may be covered in dirt and the oil has rubbed the number off. So I can give you a website in a little while which shows you where you can find the part number that should be right for your car. So this pipe, I'll show you, it splits in a couple of places, and because it's like a hard plastic pipe, it starts to split, and you'll notice like a crack line down there, and all it will do is allow air to escape when it becomes pressurized. And this happens in two places. This actually goes behind the heat shield where your turbo is at the back of the engine. So this bit you can't see, and this goes into the brake booster, and often it can go there. There's a one-way valve here, I'll show you, where it can also fail. That's why it has a heat over it, this heat protector. And again, it can split, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 joints. This rubber hose isn't normally too bad and is easy to replace. What you can do is, if you can't source one of these, you could put a slider piece of rubber hose over it, clamp it, and you might be able to make a good seal good enough to get you by. But of course, you can't beat having the right one for the right job. And this will cause, symptoms for that is your brake pedal goes horrible when you press it. It goes really hard. Sometimes when you start your car, there's no air in the brake system to start with, so the pedal feels horrible. But yeah, that part has not been available for quite some time. But again, like I said, if you can buy one of these in a good condition, hey, if yours breaks, you've got a spare, at least to get you by till you find a better option. You might be able to buy a hose that will do the job as a replacement. And that goes for this as well. Now, again, someone asked me for this the other day, funnily enough. Again, same style hosing, this hard plastic hose, again, splits here, maybe the one-way valve can fail. These can block up. This one's actually in a really nice condition. This has been replaced at some point. So a lot of these pipes are in a really nice condition, apart from being dirty. Of course, you've got the Cloud9 Customs breather, so that tends not to get as damaged. This one here, no longer available. This 3-piece pipe, this one bolts onto a 225 inlet manifold. Again, you cannot buy. If you can find one in a nice condition, amazing. Definitely worth having off a low miler car, or if someone's got one, you might only pay £5 or £10 for it. I think there is a company that makes some of this aftermarket pipe work underneath the hard pipes. All these little pipes, the PCV pipes, you can buy in silicone, you can buy in rubber, not too hard. But this hard one, I think, is a couple of £100 from a aftermarket manufacturer. Again, like I said, contact a breaker if you've got a good breaker. They should have some coming in regularly. If they don't, again, down in the description, I'll put some details, or you can contact me and I will point you in the direction of a couple of recommended breakers that I use should I need anything. This one, I don't know whether they're still available or not, but this is quite a common issue for TTs. Your indicators can stop working. And this is because this is not just a hazard switch, it's a relay as well, and it does everything to do with your indicator. So if your indicators stop working or stay on or anything like that, you need a new hazard switch. Now these fetch, at the time of making this video, sort of 30 or 40 pounds. But if you need one, much like a brake switch or anything like that, because then your brake lights won't work, you need one there and then. So I mean, if you get the opportunity to get one of these, well worth having one on the shelf. CCMs, now this is an interesting one, because if you have a coupe, these are common as muck. I mean, you can pick one of these up for 25 or 30 pounds. Probably not worth having one on the shelf. I only have this one because it came out of the Glacier, and I know it's good, so I kept it. It's not worth selling for £20. I may as well have it on the shelf. If you have a Roadster, however, these change hands for between £300 and £400 for a good one, because often they get water damaged, blows the board, the PCB, printed circuit board, and it's no good to no one. So definitely look at sealing your one if you have a Roadster, but to buy another one of these, you can't buy them new anymore, and they are not cheap second hand. There's loads of parts. These are just some of the things that I think if you can get and have, if you go and see a breaker, pick up a handful of stuff, make a bundle, you might get a deal. A spare mass airflow for your car, and an N75 valve. Has to be genuine. Do not use a non-genuine one. Do not use a race one or any brand that says they're better than original. Original ones will have the badge stamped on. See how well we can get this. Has the word Eaton printed on it. See there? Eaton. And it has the Audi rings on it. There is loads of different variations. This is one of the newer ones, I believe. One of the newer revisions, not the newest. I have about 4 or 5 N75 valves, so if you think you have an issue, drop me a line. I can always send you one. You can test it, then you'll have to go and buy one. But these new, 100 and something pound. If you can get a good one from a breaker, maybe 20, 25 pounds. Again, the same with the MAF, new, over 100 pounds, used, 20 pounds. Definitely worth having. Quite common for turbo cars. That's boost related and airflow. Other things I've got that you can't get hold of. Now, there is hundreds of things, and what I want you to do is, if you don't mind, anything that you found to come to buy and is no longer available or discontinued, down in the comments, because I'd love to know what is not available. Now, I've just grabbed some stuff that I know you can't buy anymore or is very hard to come by. This is worth having, but you can buy these all day long, every day. They're sort of £20 recirc valve. Worst case, you could always upgrade it to a nice billet aluminium one, like a Forge or something like that. Other things I've got, yaw rate sensors. There's 3 or 4 different types. If you have these style, you have both of these, or if you have a newer waddle, so 2002 onwards, you have a small silver one. They're about £20. This one sells for about £70 or £80. This one's £30. So can be quite expensive, and if you need it, you'll have traction issues and all sorts of things like that. This is an interesting one, because I actually bought the last one, I would say ever produced, but the last one available for sale. Now, this is a R32 rear anti-roll bar, so it's a couple of mil bigger than an Audi TT one. Quite a nice little upgrade, but you cannot buy them anymore. They no longer produce them, no longer available, and that was part of the reason why I thought about making the video. To try and raise some awareness, give you some ideas of where you can source the parts, how you can find part numbers, and things that maybe, if you're planning on keeping your car forever, some of the things you could maybe hoard or collect for a rainy day, always a good one. Same as if you swap, these coil packs are readily available. This is just a consumable. Now, if you've never done them before and you've had your car a while, I would recommend, if you're going to keep it for the long haul, is swap out the coil packs, especially if there's no record of them ever having it done. Swap them out and keep your old ones as spares, because you never know, one could fail, then you're only running on 3 cylinders. I always keep one in the glove box of my car. And the other thing I've kept is this, because these battery fuse boxes, this is quite a nice one, but usually you can have a couple of issues. If your fans run, you may find that this fuse is melted in and burnt out. If your wiring is corroded, you might find that this is green or discoloured, where it's got very hot and actually starts to melt the actual plastic fuse box. Quite a common one on TT, so definitely worth keeping hold of. But these are sort of the parts, not all the parts, but some of the parts I have just kept just in case. This one is for the xenon headlights. It's worth keeping. I wasn't going to throw them away just in case I lose a headlight at any point. I have got a plethora of stuff, but quite a few bits. When I start speaking or start searching for the parts, they're no longer available. Now, one of the biggest concerns I have is bolts. So on a turbo, to mount the turbo to a manifold, there's 3 bolts through. The top of the manifold goes into the bottom of the turbo, or top of the turbo. They bolt together. They are a specific tensile. They have a Torx head-on, or an E-spline head, and they are no longer available. You cannot buy them. So you either have to try and source someone who's got some new or good used ones, because often they get chewed up on the heads, they get mullered, and it's bad news. And if you can't buy them, then you have to find a replacement. So you have to use like a tensile bolt, but sometimes the head of the bolt is too big to fit into the manifold where it needs to snug. So there's a lot of issues you can run into, and these cars are getting older and they're going to need servicing. Maybe the turbo is going to fail, maybe the clutch is going to go. You're going to have to remove some of these parts. Maybe your headlight level sensors failed and you failed your MOT, but you can't buy this, or you can't buy the rod, or whatever reason. I just wanted to spread some awareness with discontinued parts no longer available. Don't be worried. Like, there is ways and means of getting them. Whilst there's still a plethora of cars on the road, you'll be able to get parts. Yes, they might be second hand, but if you speak to the right people, you'll be able to buy some really good quality parts for not mad money. Yes, you may be able to buy some stuff new that people have bought and then not used. That comes up quite often on Facebook and some of the owners' forums, where people have sold their car and they have a sell-up of all the parts they've bought. And it might be worth just knowing certain things that may be worth holding on to for the future, and also where to find them. Now, there is a website called, I can't pronounce it right, because I used to use 7zap, but now you have to pay for that. So the other free option I found was, I think it's called Nemiga Parts. Let me find it. Yeah, Nemiga Parts, Nemiga parts.com. I'll stick a link down in the description for that, but that actually allows you to type in like Audi TT 1999 to 2002, and then it gives you a big selection. Now, the only thing that's not as good on that one about as 7zap is that it doesn't tell you whether it's like a BAM. You have to look at the picture to see whether the engine's similar, but it gives you a list of part numbers. Then you can search that part number, and then you'll be able to see whether it's for a BAM, an ARY, whether it's for a coupe, a roadster, all that kind of stuff. So it gives you all the diagrams, it gives you all the part numbers, so at least you're in the right direction. If you get stuck, drop me a message. I'll be more than happy to help or point you in the right direction where I can. But I hope you found this interesting. And like I said, if you found anything that's no longer available, down in the comments, because I would love to know what you've come across that's no longer available, or things where you've spoken to them and they've struggled to get it, but there's a couple left, that kind of stuff. Because it's all helps us keep these beautiful cars on the road for as long as we possibly can, and without having to spend an absolute fortune. So I hope you found this helpful. It's interesting. I find it really interesting, especially because I want to keep these cars going. I want to keep one myself. So hoarding a few spares, spending a couple of £100 over a few years is no real drama. And I've got the mindset to know that I've got some spares if I need it. Likelihood is something will break that I don't have. At least I've got some parts to trade. But until the next one, guys, bye for now.